Humanity was nothing but a legend to them, until we entered the conflict. Part 1. In the shining spire of Concord, high above the peaceful world of Valor Prime, the leaders of 12 great alien species gathered for an urgent meeting. The room was huge and round, with walls made of clear crystal that showed the stars outside like a giant window. Soft blue light filled the air, and floating platforms held each delegate in place. The air smelled clean and slightly sweet from the plants that grew along the edges. Elder Thalvrin of the Lirani stood first. His skin sparkled like polished diamonds, and his long, thin arms moved slowly as he spoke. His voice came soft and calm through the translation devices in every ear. "We face a danger unlike any before," he said. "The Swarm Dominion grows stronger every day. Their ships eat whole planets. Their soldiers change shape to fight whatever weapon we use. Our fleets lose more ships with each battle. Entire systems stay quiet now. No messages. Survivors." The other delegates listened without moving much. The tall Voroth with their gas-filled bodies floated in thick tanks, and made low rumbling sounds of worry. The small Caliph swarm minds linked together in glowing orbs pulsed brighter when they felt fear. A delegate from the insect-like Zainari clicked sharp mandibles in anger, while the feathered Aviari ruffled their wings. A heavy silence followed Thalvrin's words. High Speaker Lorak of the Voroth spoke next. His voice echoed deep inside the tanks. "We have lost 3 border worlds in one cycle," he said. "Our best weapons barely slow them. The swarm learns too fast. We need a new plan, or soon the heart of Concord will burn too." Many voices rose then. Some wanted to pull back and defend only the core worlds. Others wanted to send more ships to hold the line. A few spoke of peace talks, but everyone knew the swarm never talked. They only ate. Arguments grew loud, until Thalvrin raised one thin hand again. "Story," he said in a quieter tone, "something from before the Concord formed. Many cycles ago, our oldest records mention a species called the Terrans, or sometimes the humans. They were said to be fierce and clever. They fought wars that shook whole sectors. Then one day, they vanished. No one knows why. Some say they destroyed themselves. Others say they hid. The young ones call it a legend to scare children. But what if it holds truth?" A wave of soft laughter and sharp clicks filled the room. The Zenari delegate snapped his mandibles loud. "Most legends are just stories to explain what we fear," he said. "We cannot chase ghosts when real enemies attack our homes." The Caliph orb pulsed once, then spoke in many small voices at the same time. "Our deep archives hold broken pieces of data about these humans. Long ago they appeared in our space. They built fast, they fought hard. They did not follow rules like we do. Then came a great silence. Our records stop after that. We thought they died out." Thalvrin looked around the circle. His crystal eyes caught the light and flashed. "We are losing," he said plainly. "Our way of war is too careful, too slow. The swarm does not care about honor or treaties. What if these humans were different? What if they fought in ways we never tried?" The Aviari delegate spread wide wings in a show of doubt. "Legends do not fire weapons," she said. "We need facts, not fairy tales from forgotten times." But the Vorath High Speaker stayed quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke again. "Our scouts found something strange in the old neutral zones. A signal beacon from before the Concord. It uses codes we barely understand. It repeats a warning about a coming darkness and names the humans as the last hope. The message is very old, but it still works." The room grew still again. No one laughed this time. Thalvrin nodded slowly. "If we keep doing the same things, we will lose," he said. "Maybe it is time to look for answers in places we forgot, even if those answers come from a legend." The debate went on for many hours. Some delegates shouted. Others whispered in fear. A few stayed silent and fought hard. In the end, the council voted against searching for the humans. The majority said, legends cannot save lives. Only real ships and real weapons can do that. The motion failed by a wide count. But when the meeting ended and the delegates left the spire in their shuttles, a few stayed behind in the shadows. Elder Falvrin stood alone at the crystal wall and stared at the endless stars. A small hidden device rested in his hand. It was an old communicator linked to forbidden archives. He pressed a button and sent a quiet message to a trusted scout ship. "Find the beacon," he whispered. "Follow it. Find out if the old stories are true. Tell no one else." Far away on the edge of known space, a lone Vorath scout ship turned its course toward dark, uncharted sectors. The crew did not know why they received new orders, but they followed without question. Engines glowed. The ship slipped into the black. Back in the spire, the lights dimmed for the night cycle. Elder Falvrin walked slowly to his private chamber. He sat on a smooth stone bench and looked at a small hollow image. It showed an ancient drawing from lost records. A figure in heavy armor stood on a burning world. The face could not be seen clearly, but the stance looked ready for any fight. Falvrin touched the image lightly. "If you still live out there," he said in a soft voice, "please hear our call. The galaxy needs fighters now, more than ever." He turned off the hollow and sat in silence. The stars outside kept shining cold and distant. They gave no answer. On many worlds the war grew worse. Swarm ships broke through defense lines. Cities turned to ash. Fleets vanished in bright flashes. Refugees fled in crowded transports. Stories of defeat spread fast. Fear grew in every heart. Yet in quiet corners of the galaxy, a few beings still remembered the old tales. Told children about the humans who never gave up. Warriors shared secret songs from long ago. Scholars searched dusty files for any clue. Most called it foolish hope, but hope has a way of refusing to die. Somewhere in the deep black a signal kept repeating. It spoke of help, it spoke of strength, it spoke one name over and over. Humans. The legend waited, and the stars kept burning. Humanity was nothing but a legend to them, until we entered the conflict. The war grew darker with every passing cycle. Swarm ships spread like black mold across the stars. They swallowed mining colonies whole. They turned lush garden worlds into cracked, dead husks. The once proud fleets of the Concord shrank smaller each day. Survivors spoke in hushed voices of endless hunger and endless adaptation. No weapon worked twice against the same swarm strain. On the battered Vorath battlecruiser Ecliptic Mercy, the crew fought to stay alive. The ship limped through empty space, with half its engines dark and most weapons offline. Captain Vorak floated inside his command tank. His methane body pulsed weakly as he watched the last flickering screens. The ship had followed an ancient beacon for many weeks now, a faint repeating signal from times before the Concord ever existed. The message used forgotten codes, but the translators pieced it together enough to understand the plea. "Children of Terra, yet live. We beg your aid. The stars are burning." Vorak sent the signal again and again on every open frequency. He knew it was a long shot. Most of the crew thought it foolish. Some even whispered that chasing ghosts would kill them faster than the swarm. But Vorak had seen too many friends die already. He would not give up without trying everything. Days stretched into weeks. The crew rationed air and food. The engines coughed and struggled. Then one quiet shift, the sensors screamed awake. Bright contacts appeared on the scopes. Not one ship, but many, dozens. They came fast and sudden. No gentle glide, no graceful energy wake. Just hard, sharp bursts of fusion fire that tore through normal space like knives cutting cloth. The formation looked ugly and patched together. Ships with thick armor plates welded over older scars. Gun barrels stuck out in every direction. Missile racks sat exposed like teeth ready to bite. No pretty curves, no shimmering shields. Only raw, brutal purpose. The lead ship transmitted first. The voice came clear in perfect modern concordant standard, a language no outsider should speak so easily. This is Admiral Reyes of the United Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to collect on an old debt the galaxy seems to have forgotten. Captain Vorak stared at the comm screen. His tentacles trembled slightly. He had expected silence, or maybe static. Not this, not names, not voices, not ships that looked ready to fight gods. The crew around him froze. Some made small sounds of shock. Others simply watched in silence. The human ship slowed to match the ecliptic Mercy. A small craft detached from the lead vessel, and approached fast. It looked like a heavy armored box, with thrusters bolted on. The hatch opened, and figures stepped out onto the hull. They wore thick suits of powered armor, dark gray with red stripes across the chest. Plates shifted as they moved, showing strength and speed, that hummed with power and short, heavy blades strapped to their backs. A docking tube extended from the human craft and locked onto the Mercy airlock. The inner door hissed open. 6 humans stepped inside. They removed their helmets one by one. Faces appeared. Strong jaws, scarred skin, eyes that looked tired but sharp. One woman with short black hair stepped forward first. She wore captain bars on her shoulder. "I am Captain Elena Morales," she said. "We came as fast as we could. Your signal reached us. Admiral Reyes sends his regards. He would come himself, but he is coordinating the rest of the fleet." Vorak floated closer. His translation device worked perfectly, but the words still felt strange. These were the humans, the ones from stories meant to frighten young Vorath, the ones who supposedly burned worlds and then disappeared. He looked at their armor, at their weapons, at the calm way they stood in enemy territory without fear. "You are real," he said slowly. "Smile. We never stopped being real. We just stopped being seen." The humans moved fast. They asked for access to the damaged databanks. They pulled out small devices and plugged them in. Screens filled with swarm attack patterns, biological samples, weapon logs. The humans studied everything without pause. One engineer, a young man with red hair, knelt by a broken console. He touched wires and muttered to himself. "Your FTL is elegant," he said. "Ours is just stubborn. We punch holes instead of sliding through them." Another human, a tall soldier with a shaved head, watched the Vorath crew. He noticed how weak many looked from hunger and low oxygen. He opened a pack on his back and handed out small sealed packets. "Food," he said. "Simple stuff, but it will keep you going until we get proper supplies." The Vorath accepted the food with careful hands. They tasted it and found it strange but filling. Strength returned slowly to tired bodies. Captain Vorak led the humans to the strategy room. The latest battle reports. The swarm had taken another system just days ago. A whole Concord fleet gone in hours. The humans listened without interrupting. Then Morales spoke. "We have fought things like this before," she said. "Not exactly the same, but close enough. Bugs that adapt fast. Endless numbers. Hive minds. We know how to hurt them. You hit hard. You hit first. You do not stop until they break." The soldier with the shaved head nodded. His name was Sergeant Kane. "According to our old records, the swarm has one big weakness," he said. "They evolved to beat what hurts them last time. So we change tactics every fight. Never use the same trick twice. Keep them guessing." Vorak felt something stir inside him. Hope, maybe, or fear. He could not tell which. These humans spoke of war like it was normal, like it was just another day. They did not shake. They did not hesitate. "How many ships do you have?" he asked. Morales looked at him straight. "More than you think," she said. Notice, and more coming every day. Our yards never really stopped building. We just kept it quiet. Outside the viewports, the human fleet waited. Patient, heavy guns stayed silent for now. Engines glowed low and steady. Ready. A message came through from the lead ship. Admiral Reyes appeared on the main screen. He looked human in the way all of them did. Tall shoulders, lined face, gray hair, cut short. His uniform was plain, but carried weight in every line. "Captain Vorak," he said, "we are grateful you sent the call. The swarm is a threat to everything. We will not let it reach our homes. We will not let it reach yours. Tell your council we are here. Now tell us where they hit hardest. We have work to do." Vorak felt the weight of centuries lift, just a little. These strangers from legend had come. They brought ships, they brought weapons, they brought will. The Ecliptic Mercy turned slowly. The human fleet matched the move. Formation tight, shields up, weapons hot. They headed back. Toward contested space. Toward the front lines. Toward fire. Behind them the old beacon finally went silent, its long duty done. In the dark reaches of space, other signals began. New ones, stronger ones. They carried one simple message. They answered. The legend walked again, and the stars trembled just a little. Humanity was nothing but a legend to them, until we entered the conflict. The Crimson Veil Nebula stretched wide and red like spilled blood across empty space. It hid broken ships and silent battlefields where the swarm had already won many times. The Concordant survivors gathered what remained of their once mighty fleet. 3 Lirani Lancers, sleek and shining, a handful of Vorath heavies leaking gas from cracked hulls, Caliph swarm drones buzzing in tight protective clouds. They waited here, because this nebula marked the last good defensive line. If it fell, the path to the core worlds would lie open. Captain Vorak stood on the bridge of the Ecliptic Mercy. His ship now repaired and stronger, thanks to human help. The human fleet had arrived in full force. Ugly, blocky ships, painted in dull grays and blacks. They formed up around the Concordant remnants, like wolves circling a wounded herd. Admiral Reyes had chosen this place for the first real test. He called it the Battle of the Crimson Veil. No fancy name, just a promise to hit hard and hit first. The swarm came as expected. Thousands of bioships poured from the nebula edge. Their hulls looked like living chitin, pulsing with green veins. Some ships small and fast like hunters, others huge, like floating mountains covered in spines and mouths. They moved as one mind, endless, hungry, ready to adapt. The Concordant opened fire first. Elegant energy lances cut clean lines through the dark. Railguns from Vorath heavies threw solid slugs at high speed. Caliph drones swarmed forward, spitting plasma. The swarm answered instantly. Carapaces thickened where beams struck. New armor grew in seconds, lost limbs regrew in minutes. The aliens watched their best shots do less and less damage with each passing moment. Then, the humans moved. Admiral Reyes gave one simple order. All ships weapons free. No holding back. Terran dreadnoughts surged forward. They ignored fancy maneuvers. They charged straight into the heart of the swarm formation. Engines roared, bright and hot. Thick armor shrugged off glancing hits. Missile bays opened wide. Thousands of warheads launched in tight salvos. They flew fast and true. Nuclear fireballs bloomed across the enemy line. One after another after another. Where energy weapons failed, human kinetics punched deep. Craters opened in living hulls. Green ichors sprayed into vacuum. Boarding parties followed the missiles. Small torpedoes slammed into breached swarm ships. Human marines poured out in zero gravity. They wore heavy-powered suits, dark and scarred. They carried chain axes that spun with teeth of diamond-hard alloy. Plasma shotguns spat bright bolts at close range. The corridors inside swarm vessels twisted and alive. Walls tried to close around the invaders. Flesh tried to trap them, but humans cut through. They moved fast. They moved sure. They laughed over open comms as they fought. One Marine, A woman named Sergeant Lin chopped through a closing membrane. Her axe whirred. Loud, she shouted. This is just like Tuesday back home. Bugs do not scare us. The swarm tried to adapt. Spores filled the air thick and poisonous. Humans sealed helmets. Filters clicked on. When bioacid sprayed from hidden glands, armor hissed but held. Special teams moved behind the front lines. They planted charges on key nerve clusters. They cut power veins that fed the ship mind. The huge bioships shuddered and died from inside. Concordant observers watched from safe distance. Their sensors recorded everything. Lorani gunners stared in silence as human dropships danced between enemy fire. They saw Marines leap from one breached hull to another, using magnetic boots and grapples. They saw a single human fighter wing strafe a swarm cruiser with rotary cannons until it split open like rotten fruit. High above the chaos, Admiral Reyes watched from his flag bridge. He stood calm, hands behind his back. His voice stayed steady over fleet comms. Keep the pressure on. Do not let them regroup. Change patterns every 60 seconds. They evolve, we evolve faster. A Vorath officer on the Mercy turned to Captain Vorak. These humans fight like they were born for it, he said. No fear, no doubt. Vorak nodded slowly. They have practiced on each other for thousands of years, he replied. We fought careful wars. They fought total wars. The battle stretched long. Hours turned into a full cycle. The swarm tried new tricks. They sent hunter swarms of small biting creatures. They launched kamikaze rams filled with explosive spores. Humans answered with flak screens and point defense lasers. They seeded the battlefield with automated drones that hunted the small attackers without mercy. At one point, a massive swarm queen ship appeared. It dwarfed everything else. Tentacles stretched kilometers long, mouths open to swallow whole squadrons. It screamed across every frequency, a sound that made even hardened warriors flinch. Reyes smiled thin. His officers, we saved something special for Queens. A single Terran Super Heavy dropped from high orbit. It looked old and brutal, a relic from human wars long past. Its main gun charged slow, a rail accelerator longer than most ships. The weapon fired once. A slug the size of a building moved at a fraction of light speed. It hit the Queen dead center. The impact flash lit the nebula like a new sun. The Queen ship broke apart in slow motion. Chunks tumbled away, trailing fire and life fluid. The swarm hesitated. For the first time in memory, the hive mind paused. The endless advance slowed. Ships pulled back. Some turned to flee. Humans did not chase right away. They regrouped. They repaired. They counted their dead. A small number compared to what the swarm lost. Marines returned to carriers, covered in ichor and blood. They grinned. They joked. They cleaned weapons for the next fight. Word spread fast through concordant channels. Survivors sent tight beam messages to Valor Prime. Walks. It bleeds the enemy. It laughs at death. Reports describe human tactics in simple words. Brutal, direct, unstoppable. A Lorani analyst summed it up in one line. They do not fear death. They mock it. In the aftermath, the combined fleet held position inside the nebula. Humans shared data. They showed concordant engineers how to modify weapons for better effect against adaptive biology. They taught basic tactics. Never repeat. Never hesitate. Strike the mind. Strike the heart. Captain Morales stood on the deck of the Ecliptic Mercy. She looked at the Vorath crew. Many now wore human patches on their suits. Small tokens of respect. She spoke quiet. We came to help, she said. We will keep helping. But understand this. The swarm will learn our trick soon. We will have to get meaner. Vorak met her eyes. He saw no anger there. Only certainty. Only readiness. The crimson veil belonged to the living again. For now. Far away on Valor Prime, the council listened to every report. Thalvrin sat in silence. His crystal skin caught the light as he thought. The legend had come true. It fought. It won. It scared even the swarm. The galaxy would never be the same. Whispers spread on every world. The humans are here. They answer calls. They break enemies. They stay. And somewhere in the deep black, more Terran ships slipped from hidden yards. More soldiers woke from cryo. More factories hummed louder. The war had changed. The legend no longer slept. Humanity was nothing but a legend to them, until we entered the conflict. Victory came fast after the Crimson Veil. The swarm pulled back from many systems. Their hive ships retreated to deeper rim territories. Concordant worlds cheered for the first time in long cycles. Refugees returned home slowly. Ships that once fled now carried supplies instead of fear. The 12 species started to rebuild. What the humans did changed everything. More Terran ships arrived every week. Factory worlds hidden behind thick nebula clouds worked without pause. They built carriers from old colony hulls. They forged railguns in massive orbital yards. They printed armor and weapons faster than any concordant forge ever could. Humans did not brag. They just worked. They shared food tech with starving colonies. They helped fix broken FTL drives on alien vessels. They asked for nothing in return. But the Council on Valor Prime grew worried. Elder Thalvrin called secret meetings in shadow chambers away. From the main spire, delegates from each species gathered. They spoke in low voices. They watched new reports of human actions. Some reports showed kindness. Others showed horror. In one battle, humans used a weapon never seen before. A small probe slipped past swarm defenses. It released a tailored virus. The virus attacked only swarm biology. It spread through their shared nerve webs. Queens died in hours. Whole fleets went still and drifted. The concordant analysts studied the aftermath. They found no trace of the virus left. It cleaned itself. They called it clean extinction. A Lirani scientist whispered, "This is not war. This is erasure." Another report told of human kill teams. They landed on captured hive worlds. They hunted the last living queens through dark tunnels. They used no mercy, no prisoners, no trials, just blades and fire. The teams came back covered in green blood. They reported mission complete without emotion. High Speaker Lorak of the Vorath read the files aloud in the secret room. He spoke slow. "These humans fight like machines," he said. "But they are not machines. They choose this. They enjoy this. We asked for help. We got a storm." A Zainari delegate clicked mandibles in fear. "We summoned something worse than the swarm," he said. "At least the swarm hungers for life. These humans seem to hunger for victory." Elder Thalvrin listened to all of it. He stayed quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. "We feared legends for a reason," he said. "Now the legend stands among us. We must decide what to do." They sent a formal request. Admiral Reyes agreed to meet the full council. No weapons, no guards, just him and a small team. They arrived on Valor Prime in a plane shuttle. No show of force, no parade. The humans walked into the spire, calm and steady. The council chamber looked different now. Extra security drones hovered. High delegates sat stiff. Admiral Reyes entered last. He wore the same plain uniform, tall, scarred, calm. He bowed slightly to show respect. The center and waited. Elder Thalvrin spoke first. "We thank you for your aid," he said. "The swarm weakens because of you. Worlds live because of you. But we see your methods. We see your weapons. We fear what comes after victory." Reyes looked at each face in turn. His voice stayed even. "We came because you asked," he said. "We fight the way we know. We fight to win. We do not fight for fun. We fight so our children never have to. We will leave when the job ends. You have my word." A Kalith swarm orb pulsed bright. You use forbidden things, it said. Plagues that kill everything. Relativistic strikes that crack moons. You break old treaties. You ignore mercy. Reyes nodded once. We broke those rules long ago, he said, in our own wars. We almost ended ourselves. The survivors made a promise. No more empires, no more conquest. We hid, we watched, we waited. We honored the promise until your call came. The swarm is different. It does not stop. It does not talk. It eats everything. Total victory. The Aviari delegates spread wings wide. And after total victory, will you stay? Will you rule? Reyes smiled small. No, he said. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your thrones. We have our own homes, our own stars. We protect what is ours. If threats come again, we will answer, but we will not stay as masters. Silence filled the chamber. The delegates looked at each other. Some faces showed doubt, some showed hope. Thalvrin stepped closer. May we see your home, he asked. Just a glimpse, so we understand who you really are. Reyes thought for a moment, then he pulled a small hollow device from his pocket. He activated it. A blue image appeared. It showed a blue-green world turning slow. Cities glowed on the night side. Oceans sparkled under suns. Ships moved in tight orbits. Factories hummed on moons. Green fields stretched wide. People walked, laughed, worked. Normal life, normal hope. This is Terra, he said, or what is left after our mistakes. We rebuilt. We learned. We chose peace. But peace needs teeth. We keep the teeth sharp. We keep them hidden until needed. The image faded. Reyes put the device away. You asked for help. We gave it. We will finish this war. Then we will go home, unless you need us again. The council talked long into the night. In the end, they made no demands. They offered thanks. They offered alliance on equal terms. Reyes accepted with a simple nod. Outside the spire, humans and aliens worked side by side. They repaired cities. They cleared wreckage. They shared stories around campfires. Human soldiers taught young aliens basic self-defense. Liarani healers learned human medicine techniques. Vorath engineers studied Terran fusion cores. The swarm felt the change. Hive minds screamed in rage. Queens ordered counterattacks. But humans stayed ahead. They changed tactics. They used new weapons. They struck supply worlds. They cut breeding grounds. They hunted fleets before they formed. One by one, swarm sectors fell. Silent worlds woke. With life again. The final push came at the edge of the galaxy. A massive hive fortress waited there. The last stronghold. Thousands of queens guarded it. Endless soldiers protected it. Humans led the charge. Dreadnoughts smashed through outer defenses. Marines stormed the core. They fought through living corridors. They reached the queen chambers. They ended it. All of it. When the last queen died, the swarm broke. No more adaptation. No more unity. Just scattered remnants. Easy to hunt. Easy to erase. The war ended quiet. No grand parade. No victory speeches. Just tired soldiers coming home. On Valor Prime, a new statue rose. It showed a human in armor standing tall. A child from every species looked up at the figure. The base carried simple words, guardians who waited. Elder Thalvrin stood beside Admiral Reyes one evening. They watched the stars from the spire balcony. You could have ruled us, Thalvrin said. Reyes shrugged. We tried that once, he answered. Did not like that. View from the throne. The two stood in silence. The galaxy healed slowly. Humans stayed, not as conquerors, as friends, as watchers, as the quiet strength in the dark. The legend no longer hid. It guarded, and the stars felt safe. Humanity was nothing but a legend to them, until we entered the conflict. Peace returned slowly to the galaxy, like dawn after a long night. The swarm dominion lay broken, scattered remnants hid in dark corners, but hunters found them quickly. No more queens ruled, no more hive minds whispered across the void. Worlds once silent, now filled with life again. Lights came back on in empty cities. Ships carried families home instead of soldiers. The 12 species breathed easier. They rebuilt bridges. They replanted forests. They sang new songs of hope. Humans stayed. They did not demand land. They did not build fortresses. They set up small embassies on Valor Prime and a few other key worlds. Plain buildings with simple signs. United Terran Embassy. Inside, diplomats worked side by side with alien clerks. They shared tea. They shared data. They shared quiet laughs. Human children played with Lirani young in open parks. Vorath elders taught human students about ancient gas songs. Kalith swarms linked minds with human poets to create new art forms. The council changed too. They invited human advisors to every major meeting, not as rulers, not as bosses, as equals. Admiral Reyes often sat at the long table. He listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, everyone paid attention. His words stayed simple and clear. "We protect the rim," he would say. "Threats still lurk out there. We watch so you can sleep." New statues appeared across many worlds. One stood tall on the rebuilt plaza of Valor Prime. It showed a human marine in full armor. One hand held a broken swarm spine. The other rested gentle on the shoulder of a small alien child. The base carried words carved deep. The ones who waited, the ones who answered, the guardians of the quiet dark. Children from every species came to touch the statue. They told stories. They left small gifts. Flowers, stones, drawings. Parents watched and smiled. Elder Thalvrin walked the plaza one calm evening. He stopped at the statue. Stone face. He remembered the day he sent that first secret message. He remembered the fear. He remembered the hope. Now he felt only gratitude. Admiral Reyes joined him. The human wore civilian clothes now. No uniform, no rank. Just a plain jacket and boots. They stood together in silence for a long time. Stars began to appear above the crystal spires. "You changed everything," Thalvrin said at last. Reyes shrugged. "We did what needed doing," he answered. "Nothing more." Thalvrin turned to face him. "You could have taken more," he said. "Power, wealth, control. The galaxy lay open after the war. You asked for none of it." Reyes looked out at the busy streets below. People walked, laughed, traded, lived normal lives. "We tried ruling once," he said. "Long ago. It cost us almost everything. Friends, families, worlds. We learned the hard way. Thrones look good until you sit on one. Then you see the blood on the steps. We chose a different path. Hide, protect, wait, answer when called. No crowns, no chains. Duty." Thalvrin nodded slowly. His crystal skin caught the starlight. "We feared you," he admitted. "Legends always carry fear. But you prove different. You fight like monsters, yet you live like friends." Reyes gave a small smile. "Monsters with manners," he said. "We keep the monster locked up most days, only let it out when nothing else works." They walked along the plaza edge. Lights glowed soft around them. A group of young aliens ran past, chasing a glowing orb. One small Kalith drone buzzed happily. A human girl laughed and joined the game. Thalvrin watched them play. "The children do not fear your kind anymore," he said. "They see heroes, they see protectors." "Good," Reyes replied. "That is all we ever wanted. To be remembered as something worth trusting." Far out on the galactic rim, human patrol ships moved quiet and steady. They scanned dark sectors. They tracked stray swarm echoes. They watched for new threats. No invasion came. No great enemy rose. But the patrols stayed vigilant. After day, year after year, on Terra itself, hidden behind its nebula wall, life went on much the same. People worked in fields. People built in cities. People raised families. They knew the galaxy outside had changed. They knew their old isolation had ended. But they kept their promise. No conquest, no empire, just readiness. Sometimes old veterans gathered in quiet bars. They told stories of the Swarm War. They showed scars. They laughed about close calls. Young listeners sat wide-eyed. They asked questions. The veterans answered honest. We fought because we had to, they said. We stopped because we could. Back on Valor Prime, a new tradition began. Every cycle, on the day the first human ship answered the beacon, citizens gathered. They lit small lanterns. They floated them into the night sky. Thousands of lights rose slow and bright. They carried messages of thanks. They carried hopes for peace. They carried names of the lost. Admiral Reyes attended one year. He stood among the crowd. Special place. No guard. He held a lantern like everyone else. He wrote a short note on it, for the ones who never came home. He released it gentle. It joined the others. It drifted high. It joined the stars. Thalvrin found him later. They stood together again. The galaxy sleeps better now, Thalvrin said, because of you. Reyes looked up at the rising lights. Because of all of us, he answered. You called, we came. Together we won. Together we heal. The lanterns kept rising. They filled the sky like a new constellation, a shape that looked a little like a human hand holding an alien one. Years passed. The story of the humans became part of every culture. Parents told it to children. Scholars studied it. Warriors honored it. Poets sang it. The legend no longer hid in shadows. It walked in daylight. It smiled. It helped. It stayed ready. One quiet night, Elder Thalvrin sat alone in his chamber. He opened an old holophile. It showed that first ancient drawing, the armored figure on a burning world. He smiled, soft. Now he saw it different. Not a monster, not a destroyer, a guardian, a promise kept. He turned off the holo. He looked out at the peaceful city. Lights glowed warm. Ships moved gentle. Stars shone steady. The old tales had come true, and the new ones began. Humanity remained, not as myth, not as conqueror, as friend, as watcher, as the quiet strength that waited until needed. And when the stars called again, they knew the answer would come. Fast, sure, unbreakable.